This is something I've never seen. Billie Jean King responds to Felix and Alex Eala's fan invasion in New York. The tennis legend has seen many generations of winners, including Serena Williams, Billie Jean King, and the biggest names of the current age. However, nothing could have prepared her for the events of August 25, 2026, at Flushing Meadows. The woman whose name is on the USTA National Tennis Center herself was completely stunned when Louis Armstrong Stadium turned into a sea of Philippine flags and the Eala effect peaked. She has witnessed everything. From the Battle of the Sexes in 1973, when she defeated Bobby Riggs in straight sets before 30,472 spectators at the Houston Astrodome and 90 million television viewers worldwide, to the establishment of the WTA Tour, which she founded and struggled to build, to the establishment of Flushing Meadows USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, which still carries her name. At 82, Billie Jean King has seen many generations of champions. She has witnessed the command center court of Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Chris Evert, Margaret Court, and Martina Navratilova. She has witnessed the sport's rise from amateur obscurity to international prominence. She has witnessed some of the most memorable events in tennis history. However, on August 25, 2026, she saw something she had never seen before, a crowd unlike any she had ever seen in her decades of watching the U.S. Open Louis Armstrong Stadium, and the start time of 10 a.m. Philippine flags waved from every part of the stands, which were a sea of red, blue, yellow, and white. "Let's go, Alex" was chanted in perfect harmony by thousands of voices, turning the New York arena into a celebration of Filipino pride. Alex Eala, a 21-year-old Filipina who recently rose to a career-high world number 18 rating, and her mixed doubles partner, Canadian world number 4 Felix Auger-Aliassime, were at the heart of the electrifying energy and almost surreal environment. Alina Svitolina and Gail Monfils, a married power couple, were their opponents. But there was only one star in the crowd's eyes. Billie Jean King was also present at all times. The woman whose remarks, leaning forward in her seat, she read, "Pressure is a privilege," within Arthur Ashe Stadium's player entrance tunnel. She had witnessed fan dedication and intensity before, but this was unique. The tennis legend was going to lose all words due to the Eala effect. Louis Armstrong Stadium's 10 a.m. start time was meant to be standard. Instead, what Billie Jean King saw was anything from typical. The 82-year-old tennis legend has witnessed emotion before: the thunderous Wimbledon fans, the electrifying Arthur Ashe Stadium during Serena's finals, and the deafening USA chants. America at the Olympics. But on August 25, 2026, as she took her seat, she discovered that she was in the midst of something she had never experienced in her decades of U.S. Open viewing. A sea of red, blue, yellow, and white filled the stands. Every portion waved Philippine flags. "Let's go, Alex," was chanted in perfect synchronization by thousands of voices. Youngsters displayed homemade signs. New Yorkers who had been waiting months for this moment stood side by side with fans who had traveled from California, Texas, and Florida. Beneath her, in the players' tunnel, Billie Jean King's own words resounded. Pressure is a privilege, and it was now being used to create an incredible movement that turned Flushing Meadows into a celebration of Filipino pride. Sussex Eala stood in the middle of it all. After Victoria Mboko withdrew from the main draw, the 21-year-old Filipina, who was ranked at a career-high number 18 in the world and was predicted to rise to the number 17 seed, looked totally at home. The Canadian world number 4 Felix Auger-Aliassime, who had been looking forward to this moment for weeks, was standing next to her. Before the game, Auger-Aliassime told reporters, "It's a great opportunity because I didn't play last year. This time, I want to experience what it's like to have the support of my fan base and the Eala effect." However, the Canadian celebrity was only starting to grasp what Billie Jean King knew. This was more than just support from fans. The Filipino diaspora's transformation of a Grand Slam tournament into a home away from home was a cultural phenomenon. It was unlike anything the U.S. Open had ever seen. The woman whose name is displayed on the building was going to make a statement that would rock the tennis world. Leaning forward in her seat at Louis Armstrong Stadium, the 82-year-old tennis legend scanned the sea of Philippine flags that covered every area. She then spoke the words that would reverberate across the tennis community: "I have never seen anything like it." King, Billie Jean. Every age of tennis history has been experienced by the woman whose name is displayed on the USTA National Tennis Center itself. She has witnessed the sport's growth from its amateur beginnings in the 1960s to its current billion-dollar worldwide sensation. She has witnessed the command center court of legends like Serena Williams, Chris Evert, Margaret Court, and Martina Navratilova. She has witnessed some of the most memorable events in tennis history. The emergence of open-era tennis, the struggle of the sexes, and the WTA. However, she was completely taken aback by what she saw at the U.S. Open mixed doubles competition on August 25, 2026. The woman who previously remarked, "Pressure is a privilege, rewards that are now painted inside the players' entrance tunnel of Arthur Ashe Stadium," was overcome with amazement. Only a few weeks prior, she had met Eala at Wimbledon after the Filipinos' historic center court triumph over reigning champion Iga Swiatek. The 21-year-old wonder and the 12-time Grand Slam champion embraced warmly in a moment that melted over the globe. During Wimbledon coverage, King told the BBC, "I've been watching her for a few years now. She was so calm and focused today. They had a really intimate talk. Because we both grew up with our brothers, we had a terrific conversation. Additionally, my younger brother was a professional baseball player for 12 years. We kind of clicked there because she and her brother are such good friends, and that's what it was for me too," King said. After that, we briefly discussed her grandfather. What King observed in the little Filipina obviously touched her. She is incredibly appreciative and grounded for her age. She stated that even at such a young age, she had tremendous gratitude. Then followed the words that encapsulated the significance of the occasion. In response to a question concerning the significance of Eala's Wimbledon victory, the first time a Filipino had advanced to the fourth round of a Grand Slam in the Open era, King offered her opinion on the fan phenomenon that has come to be known as the Eala effect. "For the Philippines, it is enormous." King remarked, "I am so happy for her and the country." The words that would characterize this moment were then spoken, "I have never seen anything like it, never. Never in her decades of tennis viewing." King continued by expressing her optimism. Aspirations for the potential global impact of Eala's success. She stated, "I just hope every child, both boys and girls, because they talk about girls, I was thinking, why not boys? It's the healthiest sport in the world and the sport of a lifetime, so I hope they start." However, King was seeing something that went beyond even her own expectations on this particular day at Louis Armstrong Stadium. She had never seen a throng like the one that had assembled to watch Eala and Felix Auger-Aliassime play Svitolina and Monfils at the U.S. Open. "Let's go, Alex!" was chanted in unison by thousands of fans wearing Philippine flags, transforming Flushing Meadows into the Filipina sensation's home away from home. Eala was carrying the crowd a few days prior, as Auger-Aliassime had acknowledged. The fabled monarch had witnessed fan love and passion before. However, this was not the same. This was the Eala effect at its strongest, and the most reputable person in the sport had just given it the highest recommendation. The tennis world pays attention when Billie Jean King declares she has never witnessed anything like it, and her words have resonance that cuts across generations. On August 25, 2026, the 82-year-old legend, whose name is on the building where history was being made, saw more than just a tennis match. She saw a cultural phenomena that might change the sport she contributed to. During her BBC coverage of Wimbledon earlier this year, King stated, "I just hope every child, both boys and girls, because they talk about girls, I was thinking, why not boys? It's the healthiest sport in the world and the sport of a lifetime, so I hope they start." King's view of what Eala's success would entail is revealed in those remarks. Although the Philippines has never been regarded as a tennis powerhouse, things are starting to change with Eala rising to a career-high number 18 in the WTA rankings and possibly rising to the number 17 spot when Victoria Mboko withdrew. A player who has already shown she belongs on the grandest stages now has access to the U.S. Open's record-breaking $108 million prize fund. Eala's potential goes much beyond her present ranking, according to former U.S. Open finalist Greg Rusedski. "If she makes it to the quarterfinals or semifinals, I wouldn't be shocked," he said. "She's that good." King, who personally embraced Eala following her Wimbledon victory, concurs that the mindset is unmatched. Eala found a young woman who shared her principles when she spoke with King at Wimbledon. "We had a terrific conversation since we both grew up with our brothers, and since she and her brother are such close friends, we kind of clicked there," King disclosed. After that, we briefly discussed her grandfather. King's evaluation of Eala's personality was just as compelling as her evaluation of the audience. She is incredibly grateful and grounded for her age, even at such a young age. That same young lady has now attracted the biggest Filipino audience in tennis history at the US Open. For 60 years, Billie Jean King has observed the evolution of the sport. She has witnessed the WTA's ascent from obscurity to international recognition. She has battled for women athletes' rights, equality, and acknowledgement. And she saw the approach of a force that may permanently alter the sport in August 2026 at the facility that bears her name. The Eala effect is become more than just a phenomenon among fans. A new generation of tennis players from a nation that has never produced a champion like Eala could be motivated by this initiative. King recognizes the potential implications of that. It is unlike anything I have ever seen. For many years to come, Billie Jean King's 6 comments will reverberate across tennis history. Because the world pays attention when the woman whose name is on the UTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center herself claims that in her 82 years of life and 60 years of tennis watching, she has never seen anything. However, King's response was more about what the crowd stood for than it was about the audience itself. Alex Eala reminded the 82-year-old legend, who has 39 Grand Slam victories and has spent her whole life advocating for gender equality, of herself. Just a few weeks prior, she had hugged Eala at Wimbledon and found a young woman whose principles aligned with her own. "We both grew up with our brothers, so we had a terrific conversation," King disclosed. "We kind of clicked there because she and her brother are such good friends, just as it was with me." What King observed in the Filipina sensation touched her. She stated that she is incredibly grateful and grounded for her age, even at such a young age. The tennis star commented, "What a treat to spend some time with Alex Eala, fresh off her historic win at Wimbledon today," in an Instagram post about their encounter. She is the first Filipino to advance to the 16th round. What a source of inspiration for children in the Philippines and around the world. However, the August 25, 2026, event at Louis Armstrong Stadium was very different. As thousands of Filipino supporters turned Flushing Meadows into a sea of red, blue, yellow, and white, Billie Jean King observed, "Let's go, Alex." Chants reverberated around the grounds she assisted in constructing. In her decades of following the US Open, she had never seen a cultural phenomena like this. It is impossible to exaggerate the importance of that moment. King has witnessed the sport's growth from its amateur beginnings in the 1960s to its current status as a billion-dollar worldwide phenomenon. She has witnessed the command center court of luminaries like Serena Williams, Chris Evert, Margaret Court, and Martina Navratilova. She has witnessed some of the most memorable events in tennis history. The WTA was founded, the Battle of the Sexes took place, and open-era tennis gained popularity. However, this was not the same. This was the height of the Eala effect, a movement that turned a Grand Slam competition into an occasion to celebrate Filipino patriotism. And the most reputable person in the sport had just given it the highest endorsement. King once stated, "Pressure is a privilege." These words are now painted inside the Arthur Ashe Stadium players' entrance tunnel. And Alex Eala demonstrated today that she is aware of that privilege. The 21-year-old Filipina had already made history and was predicted to be seeded at least number 17 in the US Open. She was the first Filipino to be seeded at a major tournament, the first to advance to the second week of a Grand Slam, and the first to win a WTA Tour title. She was now going to write the next chapter of her incredible trip while Billie Jean King watched from the stands. If she makes it to the quarterfinals or semifinals, I wouldn't be shocked. She is that talented. Greg Rosetsky, a former US Open finalist, stated, "I think the mentality is second to none." I have never seen anything like King's words. He was able to convey the gravity of the situation. All of New York was sold out. The audience was electrifying. And the icon who had made women's tennis possible was seeing the emergence of a force that would permanently alter the game. Billie Jean King was present to witness the moment.